Okay, so for the first question, you have to make, if it's a question like this, you have to make the power the same. And again, you do need to be quite sensitive about the numbers. So here we have a 8, which can be converted into 2 cubed. And by applying the same format we have done in the first question in the long part, 3 times 222 is 666. So therefore, because the powers are now both 666, I can do what they are doing without the power. So 2 times 5, that's 10, and that's for part A. And this is not the only type that can come out. Normal types are, we got these, and then they're asking for options. We just need to substitute numbers in there, like x being a 3 and y being a 4, you get the answer. And for number 2, again, we have been doing in the change the subject part, so just follow that. Remember, the only thing that they can change is the signs will be different. And for number 3, again, you can do it the same way by just doing substitution. Number 4, you can see that there's only 2 significant figures or decimal place to look for. Significant figures, again, remember, we start to count when it's a non-zero. So in this case, the 7 is the first significant figures. But then for the decimal place, you look at the decimal point. So the 0 after the first 0 is your first decimal place, and the 7 is second decimal place. So by just doing it correctly, and also make sure you round it off in this case, like if it's 5 or larger, you add, otherwise you don't. And for number 5, every time use this technique. If there's 2 or 3 terms that are equal to each other, always do 1 equals to 2 and 2 equals to 3, and then we can just use your program number 1 in your calculator to solve it. And number 6, again, you need to be very sensitive to these because we are doing it in the polynomials already. F negative 1 over 2 is 0. How do I get the negative 1 over 2? Is when I let this to be 0, so when you move the 1 over, it becomes negative 1, and then it's 2x, so x divided, you do divide the 2 over, so it's negative 1 over 2. That's how you get it. And what's the purpose? Is to find k. And once you've found k, then you're going to do the same substitution for the next part. It's x plus 1, so you need to substitute x equal negative 1, and whatever the answer is. Number 7, we have already done it, but make sure at the end when you draw the number line, it's an and or condition. And means to overlap, and or is satisfying any solution. Number 8, this question you have to be sensitive for. It says and has equal roots. Equal roots, immediately think about discriminant. There's 3 ways, right? Discriminant equal to 0, we have 2 equal roots. If it's greater than 0, we have 2 distinct roots, and if it's less than 0, we have no roots, no real roots. So in this case, it's equal, so it's discriminant equal to 0, and once you substitute it in, you will get the answer, but make sure that you put it in correctly. In this case, b squared minus 4ac, right? So b is the one with the x term, so k. A is the one with the x squared term, so there's nothing, so 1. And c finally is the constant terms, which in this case is 8k and 36. So substitute that, you will be able to get the answer. For number 9, if you see the question, it says a is a negative number, but not bigger than negative 1, not less than negative 1. So it's from 0 to negative 1. And if you look at this curve, actually in this case we will have to expand it, and expanding it will get this for us. And when we get this, then because a squared is a positive number, so it should be opening upward, and the constant term, which is at the end, the c term, because this is now in the ax plus bx, ax squared plus bx plus c format. So this is the y-intercept. So 1 plus something, and a is a negative number, but it's not smaller than negative 1, right? It's not smaller than negative 1, so this is overall still positive. that means it should be on the upper side of the curve. These are not, and the opening should be upward, so the only option will be D. And for number 10, remember that you need to solve the equation to come like from a statement to an English statement to a mathematical formula. So Donald is Peter 1 plus 25%, and the next one is Peter is 25% lower than Teresa, so Peter is 25% less than Teresa. So when you have these two equations, you will be able to solve what Teresa is, because they give you Donald. So from Donald you'll find Peter, and from Peter you'll find Teresa. Number 11. So the end game is to find x over y. So just simply remember the semicolons is for the division. So 3y minus 4x divided by 2x plus y is equal to 5 over 6. And when you solve it, make sure you leave it into the form of x over y, and whatever the answer is on this side will be your final answer. Number 12. So if you look at the equations, we'll set it out first. So z varies directly is square root of x and inversely of y. And they're asking us to find z, so this is a perfect question for us to do. This is simpler. It decreased by 36. So 1 minus 36%, which is 0.64. And y increases by 60%. So y increases by 60% is 1.6. So x is 0.64 and y is 1.6. So if you pick up your calculator, put x at 0.64, but you have a square root on top, and divided by 1.6. So it's 0.5. So we look for percent change by minus 1 and times 100. So that's negative 50, so it's decreased by 50%.